The Pittsburgh Steelers are due for a massive free agent signing after the surprising trade of Minkah Fitzpatrick, which left a giant hole in the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary at the safety position. So, in this video, I'll get into players that are available that the Pittsburgh Steelers may be connected to and could look into signing at the safety position, but also some wide receivers as well. But first, before I get more to who they are and their names, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. And all in all, I believe it's a solid trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get better at the cornerback position, they get better at the nickel cornerback position, and have someone who could just roam the field and also play safety if needed. They have someone in Jalen Ramsey who could do it all. And then also they get someone in Jonnu Smith who adds another weapon to this tight end room and offense in the middle of the field, and also someone who allows them to do more 3 or 2 tight end sets, which Arthur Smith loves doing. So all in all, it's a good trade. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Minkah Fitzpatrick being gone now leaves a giant hole in the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary at the safety position. Because even though Jalen Ramsey could fill that role a little bit, he's not going to be there as his main position. So now the Pittsburgh Steelers really only have DeShon Elliott and Juan Thornhill. So that safety depth is not great. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, even though he has really deteriorated over the last few years in terms of his play on the field, and I just made a video on him yesterday in terms of all the miscommunication and mishaps he had, which was actually pretty bad last year. You could go ahead and check it out. He's still a solid safety, which teams in the NFL respect in terms of they won't target him as often because of his name and what he used to do. So him being gone opens up the middle of the field and allows the quarterbacks to target the Steelers secondary more often in terms of deep balls. So who available in free agency can fill that void, can help the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially at the free safety position, because DeShon Elliott has it locked down at the strong safety position and has been one of the best free agent additions in the Pittsburgh Steelers' recent memory last season. So he's comfortable there, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are still going to need a free safety. And Juan Thornhill came over, who was with the Browns, was with the Chiefs, and yes, he could do certain things, but maybe you don't want him as a starter. Someone who's going to be the top high safety, the free safety roaming the field. Maybe you want someone else who's respected. And who's respected in this league? Well, none other than someone who the Pittsburgh Steelers have always been connected to, ever since his name got brought up on the trade block when he was with the Denver Broncos. And his name is Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons has been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the past, and right now, he's probably the best free agent, free safety available on the market. And even though his age is maybe concerning because he is turning 32, Simmons doesn't have a lot left in his career, but he still has some good years left. And he would probably play for probably the minimum. And last season, he started all 16 games that he played in. He finished 62 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. Those are still some really solid stats, and he's respected in this league because when he was in Denver, he was one of the best safeties in the league. So him coming here, it could bring that name to the secondary that maybe teams won't target as often. And he's still been successful later in his career. So he'll be cheap, and he could be a really good safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers for a year or two until they find a true guy to replace Minkah. But in free agency, he's going to be the best available. But some other guys who are top free agents at the safety position who can fill the void if the Steelers try to go a younger route is a guy like Indianapolis Colts' Julian Blackmon, who's a free agent. Blackmon had 3 interceptions this past season in 2024, and he has 7 over the past 2 seasons. So he's someone who, if you need someone to roam the field and make plays, make turnovers happen, he could do that. 7 interceptions in the last 2 years is a lot, especially when he's a name that's not always talked about in terms of one of the best players at the safety position. So he's also put in 85 plus tackles in each of the past 2 seasons, which we know the Pittsburgh Steelers rely on their safeties to make tackles. So he's only 26 years old. He still has experience with 62 career starts, So the Pittsburgh Steelers decide to go younger route at the safety position and add someone with experience there and not go for the older guy. He is a guy who they could target, Julian Blackmon. Now, if the Pittsburgh Steelers want to go a more comfortable route and grab a guy from a rival team, the Baltimore Ravens, in which they got Deshaun Elliott from last season, you look at a guy in Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams can fill out this safety spot. He's been a really solid safety through his career, other than his probably most known play, in which was that missed tackle on Stephon Diggs in the playoff game against the Vikings when he was on the New Orleans Saints. But other than that, he's been a solid safety through his career. He has the range over the top that every secondary in the league covets, with 20 career interceptions, which is a lot. And he's only 29 years old. He's well known because he's a rival, so the Pittsburgh Steelers have seen him for the last 2 seasons since he arrived in Baltimore in 2022. And his health has been the biggest concern. So maybe that's the reason why the Steelers won't target him. He was limited just 11 games this past season, and his tackles aren't really it compared to his interceptions. So maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers go a different route. But if they do decide to maybe get him, Marcus Williams is a solid option as well. So those are 3 safeties the Pittsburgh Steelers may be linked to in terms of signing. Because we know there's going to be another signing. They're not just going to roll into the season with 2 safeties who are comfortable playing the actual safety position. Obviously, we have Miles Killebrew who has been special teams. We have a rookie here as well, but they need some depth. They need some veteran depth, especially if they're going the older route on defense, in which it looks like they're doing by adding guys over 30 to play certain positions. So if they're going the older route and a veteran route at the defensive back position, these guys will be the guys. And you could probably expect one of them to be signed shortly. So, I do want to go through some wide receivers as well, but I won't get more into it until I make a different video specifically on them. But since I mentioned some wide receivers we may target, let's look at the guys who have been connected or linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the news and the rumors. So obviously one has been Gabe Davis, because Gabe Davis is a player who visited the Pittsburgh Steelers, met with the team, did a physical and things of that nature. He was brought in here earlier this offseason. He didn't end up signing. He went and visited with some other teams. There's some reports that his medical isn't all that, and he's not really cleared yet. But if he does get cleared and the Steelers are positive about his injury that he's still kind of recovering from, then maybe he's a player that gets signed and ends up being a playmaker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, another player has been Tyler Boyd, who has been connected to the Steelers because Tyler Boyd visited the Pittsburgh Steelers last offseason, didn't sign a contract, went on to sign with a different team, the Tennessee Titans. And then now this offseason, he's saying that if the Steelers offer him a contract, he will sign. He wants to play for Pittsburgh. He's been linked to Pittsburgh in the past with trades when he was on Cincinnati, and he was linked to Pittsburgh last offseason. And also he's from Pittsburgh, so him saying that he wants to play here means something. Will the Pittsburgh Steelers actually target him? Probably not. They have some solid wide receivers right now in terms of the role that Tyler Boyd would be in. And me personally, I do think Calvin Austin could be a really solid number 2 receiver. So I don't want these other players in free agency to take away from what Calvin Austin can really show this upcoming season. And also signing guys like Tyler Boyd and Gabe Davis. It'll also take away from Roman Wilson, who we want to see play as a 3rd round draft pick, because he was drafted in the 3rd round for a reason. So let's see what he's able to do in his first full season in the NFL and not being injured. So that's how I look at it at the wide receiver position. But those are 2 guys who have been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason thus far, if they do go that route. But me personally, I don't think they go that route. I would think that they would sign a free safety before they would sign a wide receiver. That's just my thoughts and how they operate. They seem very comfortable going into the season with the wide receivers they have right now. And at the safety position, I think they make a move. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on the players listed in the video. How do you feel about Steelers signing maybe Justin Simmons or Blackmon or Marcus Williams? Do you want them to add a safety to this team? And which free agent addition or maybe trade target should they target this offseason in free agency to fill Minkah Fitzpatrick's role on this team? Also, do you want the Steelers to add a wide receiver? Me personally, I don't. I don't really care for it unless it's a big name guy who could really step into number 2 or number 1 wide receiver and be like a 1A, 1B type of situation. But other than that, I'm solid with the wide receivers we have. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on what addition you would want to happen or not to happen. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports. Everything surrounding this team I've covered this offseason, and I'll continue covering it as we head into training camp here shortly with all coverage of the new guys with highlights and analysis on the channel. Also, any rumors that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, whether that's covering TJ Watt or anything else, I have it for you. This is the best spot for everything Pittsburgh Steelers football if you want to stay up to date. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, turn notifications for this channel, share this video, and that's it for me. I'll see you guys all later until tomorrow's video where I'll be covering Jalen Ramsey and his addition to this team and what it means. I'm out. Peace.